is my high school yearbook picture. I started to challenge my culture at the age of 17. I wasn't trying to do so. I was just a kid. But I had a fear in childhood of dying young because so many in my extended family had died young. I didn't know my grandparents. 3 were dead before I was born. The other died when I was a small boy. 2 uncles died when I was a teenager. My mother developed heart disease around the time that her brothers died. She would get angina pains walking up a few steps to the kitchen. My father's male cousins died young. It was clear that if I ate the way these people ate, I'd be middle-aged at 25. And so I resolved as a teenager to become a vegetarian. At the age of 17, on the first day of summer vacation after my junior year of high school, I began my vegetarian diet by having an English muffin with jam for breakfast. The phone rang. It was my old buddy, Dave. I said, "Hey, Dave, congratulate me. I became a vegetarian." He said, "Congratulations. That's great. Since when?" I said, "Well, since breakfast." He laughed at me. And it's a good thing that he laughed at me because it's now been 49 years since I've eaten any animals. Dave himself would become a vegetarian a mere 27 years later after seeing the movie Chicken Run. He was just morally outraged at the treatment of those claymation figures. The next person I told was my mother. I said, "Mom, congratulate me, I'm a vegetarian." She said, "What took you so long to figure that out?" I said, "What does that mean?" She said that when she was pregnant with me, she had resolved to raise me as a vegetarian, but her doctor had talked her out of it. He told her that my brain and my bones wouldn't develop, and I would be small and weak if I survived at all. And so that ignorant doctor actually managed to harm me before I was born. Still, the whole thing was mystifying. I said, "Wait a minute, Mom, you're not a vegetarian. Dad's not a vegetarian. Sheila, my older sister, she's not a vegetarian. Why in the world did you want to raise me as a vegetarian?" And she said, "Because, Glenn, when I was pregnant with you, you felt like a vegetarian." My father was the next to get the news. Here he is as a small boy, about the time that he moved to America from Poland with my grandparents, whom I never knew. My father would grow up to defend his country by driving a Jeep around a military base outside of London, or as I like to say, almost single-handedly defeating Hitler. He had actually volunteered to be a tail gunner, but failed the vision test, or I likely wouldn't be here today. My old man was okay with having a vegetarian son. He was an obsessive moderate. He said that he had heard good things about vegetarianism. It was fine with him if I was on a vegetarian diet, as long as I ate meat once in a while. The next people to learn were my obese aunt and uncle. They were thunderstruck by the news and alarmed that I wouldn't survive my drastic dietary gambit. "Where will you get your protein?" they fretted. I wanted to say, "You're worried about me? Look at yourself." But of course, you can't say that. Even today, close to half a century later, America remains a nation of fat, sick people sworn to the supremacy of protein. They are nothing if not loyal to a macronutrient they wouldn't recognize if it took human form and slapped them upside the head. Anyway, I needed to reassure my aunt and uncle. "I'll get my protein from cheese," I said. And so, stupidly, I did. For the next 19 years, I ate no animal foods other than cheese. No meat, no fish, no eggs, no milk, but I ate plenty of cheese to make sure I got protein. Cream cheese, cheddar cheese, mozzarella on pizza. And in my mid-30s, with no other health problems, at a healthy weight, with healthy blood pressure, I started to experience pains around my heart. I don't know for sure that it was heart disease because I didn't go to the doctor to check it out. Instead, I asked myself, why would I be getting chest pains on a vegetarian diet in my mid-30s? I mean, I knew that my genes were bad, but this seemed really unfair. And so I thought about it. I wasn't eating meat because of the saturated fat and cholesterol. And what is cheese except saturated fat and cholesterol? Cheese is coagulated liquid meat. And so I gave up cheese and became a vegan 30 years ago, and I've never had any pains around my heart since. When I was a vegetarian and for my first few years as a vegan, I certainly didn't deny it, but I didn't like to talk about it. And I never tried to talk anyone else into vegetarianism or veganism. I wasn't the least bit interested in what other people ate. I was a shy vegan because I was doing it for my own health. Now, sometimes I hear people rephrase that this way. So you were just doing it for selfish reasons. No. How is it selfish to take care of your own health? After all, there may be a few people out there who love you or need you. Isn't there a better case to be made that it's profoundly selfish to eat cheeseburgers? I was a shy vegan until I met Howard Lyman, a fourth-generation cattle rancher from Montana, turned vegan animal rights activist. Together, as Howard and I worked on the book Mad Cowboy, I learned how he had degraded the land as a modern industrial cattle rancher in Montana, and what animal agriculture was doing to the land all over the country and the world. There simply is no other industry as destructive to our planet as animal agriculture, not by a long shot. Next to animal agriculture, the coal industry looks like a flower shop. And so what I learned from Howard and from my research for Mad Cowboy gave me an understanding that unless we make some big changes, our planet is headed for catastrophe. And so I stopped being a shy vegan, and now my life's work is to try to turn the world vegan. And I have a confession, I have not yet succeeded. And there's some risk to even trying. I don't know if you're all aware who the first vegan in history was. Many vegans don't know this. But the first vegan was a caveman who discovered that it's easier to sneak up on a plant. He tried to convince the other cavemen of this, and all we know for sure is that he was not well liked. His bones were discovered scattered at a great distance from his cave in southern France, and some of those bones were chewed upon.